G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Tammy Smith from Wheelers Accessible Van Rentals based in Phoenix, Arizona, the United States. Thanks for your time today, Tammy.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Troy. I appreciate it.
Let's start with how we know each other. SOK Influencer reached out and thought you might be a great guest to come on. And from what I've done reading up on, I think the audience is going to get a lot out of your business journey.
Thank you.
Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
We're like a rental car company, but we specialize specifically with the mobility impaired. So somebody that is locally that uses wheelchairs, scooters, elderly, senior, paraplegics, quadriplegics that are using wheelchairs or scooters that need to get to and from wherever they need to get to, whether they're traveling for a holiday or whether their van is down for repair or they've gotten into an accident, they need a van temporarily, or if their van's been damaged. All those kind of situations where somebody needs to rent a wheelchair accessible van. We rent by the day.
Yeah, what a great service.
Thank you. The point was to make the world a more accessible place. At the time we started, there was nothing like this. It didn't exist.
Yep.
So we had to educate the population as to why somebody in a wheelchair would want to rent a wheelchair van.
Yep.
And obviously the same reason why anybody not in a wheelchair would want to rent a van. They want to travel, they want to see things, they got things to do, places to go, and we're here to fill that need.
Great. And what year did you start out and how old were you when you started the business?
I had married my husband in 86. When I married him, he had an ambulance company and he wanted me to work with him in his ambulance company. So I was an accountant, bookkeeper. And he was actually one of my clients. And when I married him, we started doing his ambulance service, medical transportation and so forth. And one of the people that called up wanting to do shuttles or had rented the van or contracted with us to do the shuttle said, "Hey, can we rent your van without your driver?" And I was like, wow, that's a really great idea. So in the office complex that we were in, there just happened to be a magazine down there called Paraplegia News. PVA magazine produced it. And the editor down there, his name was Cliff Craze. I went down and talked to him and he put a little ad in his magazine in the back, 1/6 of a page ad. And we got calls and letters from all over the world, Australia, Asia, Europe, everywhere. And including the US, wanting to rent vans. So we were like, wow, this is a great idea. So that's how it started.
I love that, the germination of how it started. What year did you officially?
87.
87 launched the business. Wow.
Yep.
And how old were you when you decided to take on the business?
I was 28 at that point.
Yep. Great. And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of that? Let me do the math. Haven't had enough coffee. 34 years?
Yeah, 35 years.
Yeah, yep. Wow. That's amazing.
We started off with 2 vans. We started off here in Glendale. We were lucky to get, a rental a month or a couple rentals a month in the beginning. We had to move vehicles all over the western side of the United States to get utilization for the vehicles and to educate. Today we're in 13 states and have a couple hundred vehicles and thousands and thousands of customers.
Right. Wow. And so 2 full-time equivalents, yourself and your husband started the business. And what would you say across the board you'd be at now?
Employee-wise, we have the majority of our people are contract laborers.
Yep.
And then we have, some employees for the reservation center and management, fleet management, as well as employee management, customer service of our customer service agents. So equivalent full-time throughout, maybe 20, 25 full-time employees.
Yep.
Or contract laborers.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about top line growth in those 34 years? How's that been?
We've had obviously there's been lots of dips and valleys and crescendos, but uh, overall since 2008, when the country really took a major dip and everybody was struggling, lots of businesses went out of business. We hung in there from 2008 to 2019. We were seeing steady growth, anywhere from 20 to 30%.
Wow.
20, obviously, with the pandemic, everything tanked.
Yep.
Our customers were the first ones out of traveling,
Yeah.
and or the last ones back in. So we're still building back up to where we were. We're back. We'll be probably. I don't know how to say it without speaking specific numbers, but we're close. We're probably down still 25% where we were from 2019.
Yep. Okay. Great. Terrific growth. When was the
Yeah,
moment
yeah.
when was the moment you felt like you'd succeeded?
About 2019.
When everything changed.
Yeah. When when you have steady growth and you finally are seeing positive numbers in on your financials, and you've got positive cash flow, and good numbers in the bank, you go, it's, you just don't know when you can spend money because you don't know what the next year is going to be. So you've got to have that steady track flow of revenue and growth to say, okay, it looks like we've got a business here. And it's, if the economy would just, we had the terrorist attacks, when that happened in what was that, 2010?
Yep.
That if everything was bad, very bad, travel took a tank, and our business, we focused our company on the traveling wheelchair user, not just the local user. And one thing that the pandemic did teach us is that we needed to spread our resources, and we needed to tap different markets. And just focusing on the travel market, we were too vulnerable between what was going on in the Middle East and how it affected the United States, and then the pandemic. We really needed to focus on our local market, which is what we did. So our local market has grown substantially, and our travel market it's instead of being 90-10, we're more like 60-40 now. 60
Right.
still travel market, 40 local, but we still need to increase that local market. We need to delve deeper in that and find ways to service that local market that will increase those numbers.
And did you add any other new products or services after COVID hit early last year?
We did add an hourly program instead of renting by the day, that we could rent by the hour. We were trying to help people get to and from doctor's appointments, therapy, and so forth. People don't need them, read them for the day, but they could rent them by the hour. So we did do that. We've since pulled back on it right now because utilization is so high. I can't afford to rent them by the hour right now.
Yep. And so you had a moment in 2019 where you felt like you had succeeded?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, okay, wow, we're hitting some really good numbers, and the bank account looked good. Yep. And so it was like, good. And then 20. Yeah. It was like a giant pie pan, big old fry pan. Somebody went whack, just right in the face, right? The kisser.
What does success look like to you?
Constant growth, getting into new markets. Obviously, the bank account is part of it, but success for me is, it's not just about the money. I mean, we're all in it to make money, but it's, for us, is also that we have satisfied customers, that the customers are happy with us, that we're getting referrals and repeat customers. That's success to me. I want to grow, but I want to keep those other customers with us. I want to keep them happy. I want them coming back over and over and over again.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Our market is a great deal of word of mouth. Keeping customers happy. Customer service is number one, and in our market. When we started growing the company in the beginning, we didn't have a whole lot of money to put in marketing, advertising, and so forth. It was word of mouth, getting with different handicap organizations, nonprofits that would help spread the word about us. So I think networking, keeping that word of mouth going, good communication to your customers is the best, most cost-effective way to get your company's name out there.
Yep, I totally agree with that. How did you fund your business?
In the beginning, they had, I told you, they had the ambulance company when I married my husband, and he was going through a huge court case. The state decided that he no longer needed to be an emergency service; he needed to be a non-emergency service. He loves EMS and was fighting to keep that CON. He ultimately, obviously, fighting the state, you're not going to win, so he didn't win, and he was forced into the non-emergency business. That was right about the time that I married him, and his sister was working for him as well as his brother-in-law. And his sister is really sharp. She had a really great marketing mind. And together we went in there and we revamped the company, rebranded it, and turned it into this non-emergency shuttle transportation. And we only operated for about a year, year and a half. And a local ambulance company came and bought it for their non-emergency service. So those funds from that helped fund the new business.
Right. And you haven't taken on investors at all in the 34 years?
No, we did. We tried in 2000 and what year was my daughter born? It was the same year she was born. She was born in 94.
Mm-hmm.
In 94, we did a deal with Avis where we put our vans in Avis lots throughout the country. And we needed funding because we needed a whole lot of vans really fast.
Yeah, it sounds really capital
And
intensive, your business.
it is. The vehicles themselves are, easily on my wholesale cost is easily 40 to 45,000 per
Yep.
vehicle.
Mm.
So anyway, so we got these guys, and Avis, they were all over it. They were really working on marketing it, moving forward with it, but the technology wasn't there yet. And we did a great program with them, except it was a dismal failure. And it wasn't because Avis didn't try hard, their slogan. They did. They tried very hard. But the technology wasn't there. The communication wasn't there yet. And if we did the same program today with Avis, where we put our vans in Avis lots, it would be a huge success because the technology is there. We use technology in our vehicles. We have GPS units on them. We unlock doors by GPS. We enable starters by GPS. We track them by GPS. We do check-ins. We have a completely hands-free. Before COVID, this is way before COVID. We beat COVID on the work at home remote before COVID ever existed. And so when everybody started to go to work at home, we'd already been doing that for 20 years.
Yep.
And so for us, our system enabled us to just continue on. It's just unfortunate the business wasn't there. But again, going back to the technology and the system that we have in place, we could do a program very easily with a major rental car company or any company that would want to use us as an adjunct to what they currently do.
So Avis did invest in 94?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we did. The program lasted about a year.
Yep.
And it just, we'd have vans there, and their managers were trying to do a really good job of making sure that they took care of the customer. Customer would be coming in at 8, 9 o'clock at night. They'd have the documentation for the customer on their desk, and they'd leave at 5, along with the keys, and lock their door.
Yeah,
so right. The customer would get there, and we'd have no way to give them the keys to the car because the manager had the keys. The system we have in place now, they wouldn't even have to talk to Avis. They wouldn't have to talk to anybody. They walk out to the car, we unlock it for them, we check them out in the vehicle, they use it, they bring it back, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, we have a networking program. We have an affiliate program that we haven't even talked about. And our affiliate program is where people want to be in this business. They network with us. We set them all up. We set them in the system. We make their reservations for them. All they got to do is make sure the van's where it needs to be at the time it needs to be there. And, they can make some real good money doing that.
Yep. Great. If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
Absolutely. I love this business. It's been challenging. It's taken, I have a lot of gray hair on my head these days, and it's not because of my kids.
Yeah.
It's because it's a great business. It's fun. I love when we make people, when we first started, people would actually, it was before, 9/11. So we could go right to the terminal and meet the people right at the gate. We'd walk through, right to the gate. So we'd be back with their family members there, meeting them and saying, yeah, here, we're from Wheelers. We got your van for you. They would be greeting and hugging us and not their family members. We're so glad you're here, because they'd be stranded otherwise. They didn't have the transportation, options that are available today. So And a lot of things have changed, and Wheelers has been part of that change, that we've helped bring the disabled population into the 21st century. We've made the world more accessible so they can get to where they want to go and go when they want to go there.
Yeah, that's terrific. There's obviously been a lot of advancement in the last 20 or so years, just with accessibility in a lot of venues, which is great to see. So it sounds like you guys were even 20 years ahead of that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody told us that we were ahead of our time because ADA, the law hadn't even gone into effect yet. The Americans with Disabilities Act was
Yep.
signed. I don't know, when did it start? We started in 87. I think it was effective in July of 90.
Yep.
So we'd already been operating for, years before the Americans with Disabilities Act came through. And if they would have talked to me before they wrote that law would be a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Being the pioneer of it, it's, the education of it, and then having the most frustrating part is being the pioneer of it, and then watching other people come along and copy you and take benefit of everything you've bled for.
Yeah, that would be very frustrating.
But it happens. We're not the first one that happens to it. You can go back to the beginning. I mean, to lots of inventions. Wright brothers, they weren't the first one that created the airplane.
Yeah.
So it's other people take advantage of what you've learned.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Expansion. Expanding this business, we get faced with a lot of discrimination. People don't want us on their lots. They're afraid of the liability of somebody that's vulnerable, like our customers are, and those people are going to go on their lots anyway. So, but I don't know, it's been really frustrating trying to get the program expanded. Our hardest thing that we do is try to open up new locations. I could have a lot more locations right now, and I have the ability to put the vehicles there, but getting a company to come along and say, yeah, let you put your vehicles at our location and rent them out. That's my biggest burr under my saddle, is that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, that's your biggest constraint. It's not capital, it's not finding the vehicles, it's the actual lots to park them on.
Yeah, it's an expansion. How do we expand this business to other areas? It's not a big enough business where we can have a storefront. It's not big enough business where I can place vans at the airport and have a stand there. It's it's very you have 3 vans there, 4 vans there, that kind of thing. It's not where it's very niche. It's a very niche business, and even in my niche, there's a niche that can afford it.
Yep.
So expansion's been the hardest thing.
Have you considered going back to Avis or another car company to partner with?
I have, and we might do that. I don't think they want to deal with it. I think I don't know. Maybe somebody from Avis is listening or Hertz or Budget National Enterprise. We tried to do a thing with Enterprise. Enterprise, they were all excited about working with us and letting us put the lots there. We're going to do a test program in Orlando. And the Orlando Airport Authority wouldn't let them do it because they can't have, they say they couldn't let them have 2 rental car companies under the same license. And it's like, well, it's like we're sitting there trying to help make your airport more accessible. We're trying to help your location be more accessible. And under what their requirements are, they're required to make it accessible. So if it's more accessible, then you have an accessible bus that takes you out to a rental car place that doesn't offer accessible vehicles. So what sense does that make?
That's
and I'm
terrible.
right here. I'm right here ready to put vans on those lots. I'm right here. I'm ready to do it. But they won't let them work with us.
Did you lobby any local politicians to help?
I have. We've talked to politicians, and they give you a lot of lip service and then don't call you back.
Yeah. Right. What about any disabled associations in the USA that could help put some weight behind the argument?
Well, you have the National ADA office, and I've reached out to them and haven't got a whole lot of luck because I think they worry about favoring one company over another. There are a couple of
Yeah,
other companies now, so
got it. Yeah. What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
um, locations. Getting calls and not being able to help somebody. Somebody calls me up and they want a van in, you know, someplace in Texas that, I could put vans, but I got no van there.
Yeah.
And then they want it for, a month or a week or whatever. And then you got to charge them X amount of dollars to deliver it to them. So now it's more costly to them. It comes back to expansion. It comes back to locations, that location.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
Um, well, we're meeting our goals by expanding and getting into areas that we know that there's a need. That we're filling a need, making customers happy, making money. Nothing wrong with that.
That's right. What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Probably going from to technology, trusting technology to get us to where we are today, and that's still a struggle. You get, technology is there, but it's not perfect. And you get involved with these, technology companies, GPS services or software companies or whatever, and they say, "Oh yeah, it does this, does this, does this," and you use it. They don't do that, and don't do that, and do that. It's like, what the hell? And they don't want to. In fact, I'll tell you a company right now that just got me just I'm so burned up about this company. Ring Central. RingCentral.com is the worst company in the entire planet.
Huh.
They are our phone system, and they have had a bug that we've been pointing out to them for the past year. Phone calls will come into us, and they'll come in, and people will, my agents will be sitting right there waiting to answer a phone call, and it'll come in and go to a missed call. It'll come into our email box as a missed call. They'll have never rang. And then they'll say, "Oh no, you guys answered it," or the customer hung up. It's been going on for a year. And finally, literally today, I finally got a letter from them telling me that, "Oh, gee, we have a bug. We have a virus that has been in our system, and it's not only affecting you, but affecting others."
Yep.
It's like, you know what? What are you going to do about all the customers that have been waiting for hours? Because our customers obviously are disabled people. They're waiting to get into a vehicle,
Mm.
and the phone never rings to us so that we can check them into a vehicle, so we can, unlock the vehicle and get them on their way. What are you gonna do for me now that you've made this customer so mad and they think we're just not answering our phone?
That'd be very frustrating for everyone. Well, didn't Ring Central even send someone out to test and observe?
No,
Oh,
no, they have these little agents that sit there that have some kind of canned response that they give you, and you go, "I want to talk to a manager. I want to talk to somebody above you." "Oh, they're not available. They're not
that's
available." "Oh, well, we'll have
shocking.
them call you back."
Yeah,
Horrible customer service.
it's terrible.
It's taken over a year to get to where we're at today.
Yeah, well,
So frustrating.
yeah, I don't know if they're going to be around for very long with that kind of customer service and attitude.
You wouldn't think.
What is the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
What habit? Probably consistency. Consistency in your customer service, consistency in your mission. Um, it's so easy to get off track when you have customers that have what their needs are. And it's not like, being KFC, they make chicken, they make one chicken and that's all they do. That's all we do. We do one thing. We rent vans, and but we have to meet the needs of a lot of needs of different of people that have various handicap needs. And we can't, as much as we'd like to, we can't fit everybody's need to they've got to be able to fit our vehicle.
Yeah.
And not being able to uh, handle, somebody calls up and I need hand controls and the spinner knob and all this. We don't do that. And it's too difficult, one, because that's not how we operate. We're trying to mainstream our business so that anybody that's in a wheelchair that wants to be transported can rent our vehicles, but we don't gear toward the disabled person that needs hand controls and spinner arts and so forth, because we don't have anybody to put that equipment on. And that's not something you can put on every vehicle and hope it works for somebody. It's got to be custom fit to that person, so that the spinner knob's in the right place and the hand controls operate the right way and is set up in the right place for them. And because people that can do that thing, they have limited movement when they can move, but they may have very limited movement as to how much they can move. So those things have to be adjusted for them. And so we just try to do our one thing and do it as best as we can do it.
That point on consistency, I've got on my desk here one of my favorite quotes. It's from Benjamin Disraeli, the ex-British Prime Minister, decades ago. The secret of success is constancy of purpose.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah. Consistency of what our purpose is. Our purpose is to rent wheelchair accessible vans and do it effectively, smoothly, making it as easy for the customer as possible.
Yep.
Making it easy for them to get into the vehicle, take off, use it, and return it, and not have to wait hours and go through shuttles and go through, being shuttled back to, my place. I want them to be able to drive up, use it, and bring it back and take off.
Want to become the best manager you can be? Check out our Kick-Ass Manager course at growasmallbusiness.com. Do the course and add your fellow managers for no extra cost. Join the 30%. 70% of people quit their job because of their manager.
Can you talk about how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
We've added some really good our IT people, our marketing group that we've hired is doing an excellent job. We really try to fund to contract a lot of services that we use out, and not because we're a small business, we can't always pay what you need to pay somebody to be in-house, but you can get those services if you're willing to say, okay, if I can do it in 20 hours a week or 30 hours or a month, 20 hours a month, I can contract this company out to do those services. So we've got our customer service agents. We've hired some really great women. I shouldn't say just women, we'll hire men too. They just happen to be women. And they're just doing such a good job. We have such a great team of people. They care. They know the vehicles. They understand what the needs of the people are. If they don't, they ask questions, and we try to help educate. So it's been, our people are good.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. I'm sure you would have accidentally hired some B and C grade players before, but when you got A players on the team, those people with great attitude and switched on, makes a huge difference to be able to focus on the growth.
Well, right now with hiring people is really difficult. People don't want to work right now for some reason. I don't know how people are surviving. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, where are they getting their money? I don't. I have to work. I mean, I don't have anybody reading me money. So
it's the same thing here in Australia. There's a labour shortage. I mean, hospitality is a big one because everyone's left that sector, but just across the board. And I read an article a few weeks ago. I think 15 million Americans have quit since 1 April. That article was a month or two ago. So I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know either. And we've definitely have hired some very substandard people, and they don't last very long because the girls then end up having to take up their slack. Don't keep it a secret.
They get
yeah, we kind of are able to kind of get rid of them pretty quick.
That's good. That's good. Culture is the next question, but it's good that you got a culture of honesty and transparency. I guess that if those team members that are great aren't happy, they're going to tell you pretty quickly. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. When they start having to do their work for them, they don't keep it a secret.
Yeah, that's good. What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Boy, I don't know. That's a big question. We probably need to do this, probably things that we lack in doing that would help build a better culture within my company or culture in my industry.
Within the company, yeah.
Okay, in the company. We probably could do more. Everybody's remote, so it's not like we'd ever get everybody together and go, hey, come in for a company meeting and do those kind of things. We one of the things we're doing now is a program I just found that we're going to implement. It's called Active Track. And because everybody is on the phone, it monitors the time that they're on the phone, how often they touch their computers, what programs they're in the most, measures their productivity. And so we're going to change the way that we pay based on productivity. Obviously, they still get wages, but they're going to be paid based on reservations that they make, quotes that they give out, their their overall productivity as opposed to just showing up.
I think that's great. I mean, it's one of my favorite sayings when I do a bit of coaching is what can be measured can be managed. If you've got some clear numbers there on that you can point to and give people bonuses for, I think that's really, really smart.
Yeah.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
Our when you're working with a rental car company and people are calling you at all times of the day and night, I mean, it's odd the number of people in the middle of the night. I mean, seriously, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll call you up and go, hey, I want to rent a van. What's it cost? Shouldn't you be in bed?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or an article would appear on us in this one time. We had this article appear on us in Ohio, and some newspaper in New York picked it up. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a call literally in the middle of the night from somebody in London that found the article that wants an interview.
Yeah. That didn't have the courtesy to check the time difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, wake up out of a dead sleep trying to do an interview. So, I mean, when we first started, we have 3 kids. The kids were small. My kids grew up with us doing wheelers. They just didn't know anything else. So they know how hard we worked and how much we worked. And I literally stood in line at Disneyland and took $1,000 rental, just standing at the Matterhorn line at Disneyland with my kids.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do. I mean, we played as much as we could play with them, but we worked as hard and long as we possibly could. So, now it's a little different because we've got some employees and we've got people that are managing things. And my husband actually retired last year. But came back because we, things during 20, things dropped off and we needed his help. So we brought him back and so he's working and not getting paid now, but he's just, we just needed his help to come back in. He's got an incredible mind. That's a different question, but I ride horses. I love horses. I'm a horse person, and my husband likes to work and he likes big equipment like backhoes and that kind of stuff. We have a property up in northern Arizona that we purchased about 4 years ago, and we're hoping to build a house on it. And he's been accumulating large equipment to help build a house. So he's busy doing that and taking care of the fleet. So, but now my kids are all growing and they've got their lives and they've got their professional careers, and we're just focusing on wheelers and playing as much as we can play.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I was a horse person as well. I used to be in Pony Club. Still got the ribbons, but I think it was my mother living vicariously through me. It wasn't my choice.
Yeah. We're a rodeo family. My mom and dad did just all very amateur, but they did like policemen's rodeos, and they put us in. We did quarter horse shows, and then we elevated to high school rodeo and junior rodeo. I went from junior rodeo to high school rodeo to college rodeo. And then my brother and I both did a little pro stuff. And now it's, I don't want to travel like that. I like doing rodeos around, Arizona, but I don't really want to go a whole lot further than that. So it's just fun to do.
My cousin in Queensland, he was a jackaroo, and so he was right into his rodeos. He loves them.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And Breakaway is really awesome. Breakaway is really making this huge comeback. It's making this huge growth that's happening with Breakaway. And I have a barrel horse and I have my rope horse, and we've been doing Breakaway and just having a great time doing it. Bought some cows, so it's fun.
That's good. How much professional development have you invested in yourself over the years?
Oh man, I'm a learn by hard knocks kind of girl. I have some college, didn't graduate from college. My husband didn't graduate from college. We're really just the school of hard knocks. We believe practical experience is the best. I mean, stuff they teach you in college is great, but it's not real world experience. So I would put our business experience next to a college grad anytime. I think the only thing that the college graduate, depending what college we would have went to and graduated from, would have been maybe the contacts, the banking part of it, how to get funding, that stuff it's stuff that, you can go sit down with a banker, but having more that experience would have been real helpful.
Yeah. So over the years, like a couple of last decades, let's say, have you done much around like reading business books or going to conferences or?
Yeah, we've done that. We used to go to a lot of the rental car industry trade shows. We did a lot of the ability expos and stuff associated with our industry. There's a NUMITA. We did a lot of that, to educate us as to how the market goes and what things are available or not available. And we have some patents, we sold our patents to a company, and we have some that we're working on right now for new product development for our industry. So we've had mentors. There's, other than just our parents were, both our sides of our parents were in business. So having their experience and knowledge of what they did for their companies, has helped us out too. But I tell you, because we're in an industry that was just never around, most ours has just been live and die.
Yep. Yeah, that was the next question, mentors or coaches. Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
We don't. We have my husband, me, and my daughter-in-law, and we sit down and make decisions based on what's going on, and we meet and deal with that. But no, we don't have a board of director or advisors.
Right, Tammy, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
Doing it, getting the nerves to do it. I have a nephew that lives with us. He has a called Lux. He's a remote control skateboard. That's the best way I could put it. It goes like 35 miles an hour. Stand on it and they go whipping down the street in it. Is getting him to go, what, it's great that you're living here. I'm glad that he's here. I think it's been beneficial for him. The college that he goes to, they have a inventors or an entrepreneurs program that he's part of, and they give him a place at the college to develop his program and develop his skateboard and invent and create and do all those things. But at some point you got to bite the bullet and say, okay, is this really a business or not?
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing. I mean, you can, people can say that they're in business, but are you really? Are you really in business? Or are you just tinkering?
Yeah.
Are you doing a hobby?
Yeah, that's it. Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
Don't have one.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
I'm really new to the podcast. And I tell you, after having done a few of these podcasts with interviewers like yourself, I think I will probably start paying a lot more attention to them, because I think there's a lot to be learned from them.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear about other people and their businesses and what they've done. I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, there's a few I've had on I think may resonate with you. Some are in your near your sector. I'll shoot them through to you after this.
Okay.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
Bookkeeping, accounting, no QuickBooks. No, or a program like it that you like. Get your financials done. Stay on top of your numbers.
Definitely. Yep. I'm a big numbers person. Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Don't do the partnership. Before.
This is the Avis partnership?
Yeah, the Avis partnership. Don't do the Avis partnership. No, not Avis. I do Avis, just not to do the partnership with those fellas. Oh, yeah. You tell yourself, what would you tell yourself one day when you're starting out? You know what? There's some things that we've done in the expansion of the program with our dealers that we've had, because we have affiliates. We have our corporate locations, and then we have affiliates. And there's some things that I would tell myself to do different in regard to the affiliates on our dealer program. I think our dealer program can be really good. And I think where we're at today with the technology and what we're able to do, I think our dealer program is phenomenal, way better than it was in the beginning. And I think I would have told myself to wait before we did that, to wait until we were better situated to do the affiliate program. But I couldn't have waited as long to get the technology and, to wait till now where the technology's there in the last few years to do it. I would have started it sooner, but I think we could have put that program together better, more in a better way that would have been more profitable for the company and provided better service to those affiliates at that time.
Great. Thanks for your time today, Tammy. I think your business is helping a wonderful niche, or niche as you call it in the US, really servicing people in need of what you're offering. And I think the phenomenal growth over the last 34 years. So congratulations to yourself and your husband and your sister-in-law and the wider team. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. It was fun.
And for our audience, we would greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc. So more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.